A major delivery, months in the making, and it's only the beginning. Dominic Lolino expects it'll take him 3 weeks to unload it all.
There's a big backlog and they're like 12-hour days.
All hands on deck because of a hack. The Toronto Public Library gave us exclusive access to follow them for weeks, to find out what happens when a criminal organization targets you and how hard it can be to climb out. All of these boxes are filled with books, and these are just some of nearly 1 million that have been stranded in trailers just like this. They belong to the Toronto Public Library, which was the victim of a ransomware attack back in October. All of these books are waiting to go back on the shelves, and take a look, there are so many. It's no surprise the Toronto Public Library is the world's busiest urban public library system. All these books couldn't be scanned back in while library systems were down. Now, they all need to be sorted because the hack affected systems that let the library scan books back in. Books like this one, stuck since October, are only now able to go back to their respective library branches. Like the Richview branch in Etobicoke.
So normally these shelves would be packed with barely any room.
Wow. Jan Dawson manages 18 library branches, including this one. Can you tell me about what that was like when you first had to shut everything down?
It was quite shocking. We had to think through really quickly how we were going to provide as many services as possible. And so that involved in the early days, pen and paper, writing down barcodes, and keeping that circulation going.
Public computers and printers out of commission too, until recently. The same problems felt at branches across the city and by those who use them.
I have totally felt the hack. It's actually been depressing.
How do you use the library?
I use it for everything. Safe haven, take out books, magazines.
I think it's a great place to study.
For many, it's the only place where they can access the internet. Some may go inside to escape the snow. So who would hack a library?
Those are generally career criminals. These are people who have been doing this for a very long time, and they treat it like a professional job. It's a 9-to-5 job. You know, they make quite a lot of money as a result.
That's Bob McArdle, a ransomware researcher based in Cork, Ireland. He works for Trend Micro, a cybersecurity software company.
How these groups actually work is they hack anything that they are able to get into. And unfortunately, sometimes it's a library, sometimes it's a company with a lot of money.
Ransomware attacks often work like this. First, hackers steal an organization's digital files and lock their victims out of their online systems. Then, they demand money from their victims, often huge amounts, to regain access. That leaves victims with a choice, to pay or not to pay. Do you think people should pay?
Me personally, no, I don't. But the important thing to realize there is the criminal groups know not everybody is going to pay. In fact, they account for that in their business model. And for everybody who does pay, they are essentially financing 3 more victims.
The library says it didn't pay, which is why it has taken months to rebuild its systems. Staff won't confirm who's behind the attack, and the library isn't the only victim of this kind of crime.
We're seeing all sorts of industries, from like energy to finance.
We look up some major hacker groups on the so-called dark web because we want to understand how they operate. Turns out they often list their victims, and we find Canadian organizations, private and nonprofit. We're not naming the ransomware groups because some experts say hackers want notoriety.
The data that they have acquired, personal data, passport photos, IDs. It is freaky.
Yeah.
How much information and personal information there is just available with one click.
The sites look Spartan, but one of them has a message for visitors.
Think of our actions as an unscheduled, forced audit of your network for vulnerabilities. Keep in mind that there is a fair price to make it all go away. Hi there, we're journalists from Canada.
We're reaching out to one group linked to a number of high-profile hacks. Like any business, there's a Contact Us link.
Okay. Submit.
Research shows that ransomware attacks can cause stress, burnout, and even PTSD symptoms. That's why McCardle says it's important not to shame victims.
Somebody who doesn't do security every day of the week, who is coming up against somebody who's a trained hacker, who does this 40, 50 hours every week, that's a completely unfair comparison.
Ultimately, the group we emailed didn't respond, so we can't ask them how they picked their targets. But hackers know how to trick people, and library staff know firsthand what it's like to go toe-to-toe with them.
For all of us, knowing that our data is somewhere has been quite challenging and difficult. I think we're all still processing it.
Now, finally, books, computers, printers, things many of us take for granted, are coming back online.
I think libraries are an important pillar in the community. It's the last free space, pretty much, that's available for anyone.